Three things are guaranteed in life: death, taxes, and everything in Skyrim trying to kill you. Well, maybe you're the one trying to kill everything, but that's neither here nor there. The point is, you're going to come across a lot of enemies in Skyrim. However, some of these enemies are particularly hidden, special, one-of-a-kind characters with unique names and backstories that are typically much harder to defeat than your average bandit. And chances are, you've never fought any of them before. So, in this week's video, we're going to be taking a look at 10 hidden boss battles that you may have missed during your time in Skyrim. Number 1. Lord Tusk. If you didn't think Skyrim could be a horror game, you definitely will after you hear the story of Lord Tusk. On a remote island east of Solstheim, you'll find a journal that tells anyone who dared set foot on this island to turn back the way they came. But since we're the Dragonborn and gifted with the power of quick saving, we venture on. Further into the island, you'll find a shipwreck with hawkers that are unlike any other. Where most hawkers are territorial creatures who only attack when provoked, these ones are bloodthirsty savages that attack on sight. But going even deeper will reveal the apex predator of the island, Lord Tusk. This hawker has double the health, damage, and size of any other of its kind. It's a fight that can get pretty ugly, especially if you're a low level. But luckily there's a unique mace nearby that does extra damage against hawkers. Killing Lord Tusk will show that he has 4 human skulls in his stomach, which indicates that these hawkers developed a taste for humans at some point. Number 2. Udafract. Udafract is a character that has been found throughout the Elder Scrolls games. This story creature was first seen hiding inside a cave in Morrowind's Blood Moon expansion. Then, in Oblivion, you get the chance to kill Udafract's mother. And now, this monster's back in Skyrim with a vengeance. Luckily, finding him isn't too hard, as he's made a home underneath the Dawnstar Sanctuary. You'll likely come across him during the end of the Dark Brotherhood questline. It's too bad that this unique troll is going to meet the same fate as his family. Despite his unique look, Udafract is barely a challenge and can be put to rest pretty easily. Still, this troll is a pretty cool piece of Elder Scrolls history. Number 3. The Wolf Queen. Being referenced throughout the Elder Scrolls games, Queen Patima is regarded as one of the most dangerous necromancers in the history of Tamriel. As the mother of Uriel Septim III, Patima launched a rebellion against her niece so that her son would take the title of Emperor. And although she was overthrown, it was not without a fight. Queen Patima would summon Daedra and use necromancy to reanimate her enemies to fight for her. And despite all these horror stories, people still thought it was a good idea to summon her. To stop her from becoming a threat akin to Alduin or Merak, you're going to have to first complete The Man Who Cried Wolf, where you must stop a group of necromancers trying to summon Patima. Then, during the quest The Wolf Queen Awakened, you find out that Patima's spirit has latched onto you. Now you must put her to rest for good in her catacombs. But be warned, this is one of the toughest battles in the game. First, you'll have to take on waves of her undead horde while she dishes out shock damage to you. Once the final wave is complete, she'll retreat to a back room where she'll continue to reanimate the Draugr you just killed and respawn several times before she finally ends up as a pile of ghostly goo. Number 4. The Giant Mud Crab. There are a lot of creatures in Skyrim, but none are as annoying as the mud crab. These pesky little creatures come in all shapes and sizes, but I have to say, the Guardian mud crab is easily the mother of all mud crabs due to its massive size. To find this big boy, you're going to have to help out a Nord hunter named Froki, who's a devout worshipper of the goddess Kin. Want to accept his quest to hunt down the guardian spirits of Skyrim's various fauna, you'll eventually come to the point when you have to take on the guardian spirits of a mud crab. This spectre, as big as it may be, is laughably easy to kill. In fact, it's only a few health points more than a regular mud crab. But hey, at least it looks kinda cool. Number 5. Old Salty. If a giant spectral mud crab was too intimidating for you, then I'm sure Old Salty will be much more to your size. Residing at Northshire Landing, this unique mud crab is equally small and equally weak as any other of its kind. But be warned, Old Salty has friends to back him up. Friends who are also quite pathetic. Nevertheless, Old Salty's uniqueness goes beyond his name. Looting his corpse will show that he's holding a boot, a tankard, and some gold. This has led many people to believe that Old Salty is a reference to the mud crab merchant from Morrowind. Yes, in Morrowind you could find a talking mud crab, which sounded drunk and fittingly sold alcoholic beverages to the player. Some say that Old Salty is the same mud crab that was selling us booze back in Morrowind. But unfortunately, Old Salty doesn't share that mud crab's friendliness, and will instead attack you on sight. Number 6. The Forge Master. I think one fact that we can all agree on is that all Dwemer ruins were built the same. Whether this is somehow explained in lore, or if it's just Bethesda's lack of time, the overwhelming majority of Dwemer ruins might as well be identical to each other. But that can't be said about the ruins of Bethalft, a dwarven ruin that holds the Aetherium Forge, an ancient forge that was created by the Dwemer specifically to forge with Aetherium. But anyone that wishes to craft with the legendary metal will have to first face the Forge Master. This extra thick centurion is the last line of defense for the Aetherium Forge, and is one of the toughest enemies on this list. With a minimum level of 24 and its ability to breathe fire, the Forge Master is sure to put low-level players in their place. But this battle becomes much easier if you let a companion tank all the damage while you sit in a corner and dish out the damage. Number 7. Taran Dreth. If you didn't know about the Forge Master, then you're definitely unaware of Taran Dreth. Though most of the bosses here are patiently waiting in some cave or dungeon, Taran Dreth is a bit more unique in this regard, as there are a few prerequisites that the Dragonborn must accomplish before this dark elf is even in the game. Taran Dreth is an elemental mage who is a self-proclaimed expert in Dwemer metallurgy and forging techniques, but completing the quest Lost to the Ages will reveal that he is no such thing, and instead stole all the knowledge from his master Katria, who he killed before publishing all her discoveries under his own name. However, once you complete the quest and craft an item out of pure Aetherium, Taran Dreth will be seen on the roads with an entourage of mercenaries. Talking to Taran will immediately make him notice the Aetherium artifact that you crafted, and subsequently try to kill you for it. Number 8. Arundel the Pedo. The Elder Scrolls games have been no stranger to insane characters. In Skyrim alone we had Cicero, Moiri and Heimskr, but all of these people are model citizens in comparison to Arundel. The description of him speaks for itself, as the wiki describes him as a high elf conjurer, necromancer and necrophile. That's right, Arundel has a thing for dead women. This grade A sicko can be found in Ingvild after he was exiled from Dawnstar for being too much of a creep. And instead of seeing this as a wake-up call, Arundel decided to go deeper into his perversions and turn mummified Nord women in Ingvild to his subjects. Arundel eventually lost all attraction to live women and chose to remain in the Nordic ruin until you show up and put this sicko to rest. Just make sure you don't die if you're playing as a female. Number 9. Skeletal Dragon. Although pretty much all of the dragons found in Skyrim were resurrected by Alduin, there does lie one that was not. Deep inside the Labyrinthian, you'll find a dragon which took intermittent fasting a little too far and no longer has any scales. Because of this, the skeletal dragon cannot fly, nor does it drop any dragon scales when killed. It also lacks a dragon soul, as again, it was not resurrected by Alduin, but rather an ancient necromancer. Not only does this mean you're coming out of this battle with nothing but a pile of dragon bones, but it can also make this boss the only dragon which you can fight before completing Dragon Rising. And although this dragon looks super badass, it's unfortunate that it's the easiest dragon to kill in the game. Number 10. Warlord Gathric. Warlord Gathric is one of the most interesting bosses in the game, as the boss fight can be completely different depending on your level. Found in Ironbind Barrow, this mummified Nord has dedicated his undead life to guarding the become ethereal world wall and has an entourage of Draugr to follow suit. There are many interesting qualities about this boss. Not only is he one of the tallest humanoids in the game, making many people believe that he's an Atmoran, but Gathric can also either be a Death Lord or a Dragon Priest. And although the difficulty of this boss fight could take some people off guard, the dragon shout that you obtain from him is definitely worth the effort, as it's one of the best in the game.
Subscribe to Fall Damage, you milk drinker.